Hey, what's up? I'm X, and welcome back to the 4 Idiots series, the series where I teach you how to do content in RuneScape as quickly as possible. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're interested in that kind of thing. Today I'm going to teach you how to do the Mage Tank Inferno method. A huge, gigantic, ginormous, humongous, king-sized, whopper-sized disclaimer that this is not a cheap method. It can be done for cheaper, but it is not an inherently cheap method. I do try in this video to make it as cheap and realistic as possible for players with about a 300 to 500 mil bank. I use a shadow in this video, but you could easily use crystal or another bow at the cost of just a couple supplies. That being said, let's get right into the concept of the strategy. In the Inferno, there are a lot of different monsters, almost all of which attack with some variation of ranged or mage projectiles. A couple of them are capable of meleeing, but as long as you're not within their melee distance, it doesn't matter. Usually it takes a good amount of skill and understanding of these monsters to pray against them at the correct timing. Instead of using that skill and strategy, however, we are going to simply beef our range defense so high that we almost never have to pray anything except for magic. All the while, we will be boosting our own magic enough that we can attack monsters while wearing incredibly tanky armor. This is largely in part due to the Confliction Gauntlet's accuracy, but we'll be doing some other little tricks to make this easier. For your gear, you're going to want to maximize your ranged tank for your helmet, top, and bottom. A set of Justiciar armor is fantastic for this, as it has an additional set bonus for defense if you wear the whole thing. In this video I wear Torva, but you can easily get away with Bandos, and if you're really hurting I'm sure you can get away with Torag, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You can bring along a Crystal Shield, but here I use an Elidnus Ward and a Suffering for some additional defense, but you can bring a Mage's Ring, if you're comfortable. And an Imbued God Cape, and an Occult, and some tanky shoes. And the Confliction Gauntlets, I don't know how you forgot this in the recording. Oh, and an Eye of Ayak, which fuels so much, if not all of this run. For your inventory, you're going to want 6 to about 8 brews, 2 or 3 prayer regen potions, a stamina, an imbued heart if you've got one, a rune pouch full of both Ice Barrage and Blood Barrage runes. I also recommend bringing a 3-way magic switch, Ancestral or Virtus. Virtus is great for ancient spells that we're going to be casting. A staff that can auto-cast those ancient spells. I like to use the Eldritch because it makes it certain that I won't have to worry about prayer usage whatsoever. And the shadow I bring along is primarily just for Zuck and Jads, but if you can't afford a shadow, you can drop a couple of these supplies, like I mentioned earlier, for a range switch just for Zuck and Jads. And fill the rest of your remaining slots with Sandfew Serums or Super Restores. I'm also going to assume for this guide that you have a rough idea on how the monsters and the Inferno work. I'm assuming that you're checking this guide because you do not want to do the traditional method, but you do have a rough understanding on how it works. If you don't, I'm going to link a video in the description below where I show you how to do a lot of the regular mechanics, but I'm going to be repeating a lot of them here, so if you say, I don't fully understand how that worked, maybe check the description. First, I'm going to show you some strategies that will help you all over the Inferno, whether you're using mage tank methods or not. Then I'm going to show you 2 universally panned difficult waves and show you what you would do. Then we're going to cover Jads and Zuck, and again, just very quickly, I would really appreciate your subscription, thanks. In the first bunch of waves, you don't really have to worry about that much. All you'll really need to do is throw your auto-cast staff on, Ice Barrage or Blood Barrage the pile of nibblers depending on your HP, then knock out the remaining NPCs. It's okay to pray range in the beginning because you're only going to be really hit by range in the beginning. So once the nibblers are taken care of, throw your eye on and run to this tile over here to take care of the bats. From this tile, the bats can't hit you, but you can hit them. It also blocks creatures behind it, so that's helpful sometimes. Now, it's a good time to talk about the field of view in the Inferno. Nothing will ever spawn north of you, so we're always going to want to make sure that we're on the north side of this pillar here for protection. Things can spawn on the east, south, and west, however. When you go to start a wave, you'll typically do so from this tile here. Cast a barrage to the nibblers and then run to this tile here. The reason we do this is to catch monsters on the pillars so they can't hit us, and it allows us to deal with the east easier, or at least one at a time. When you spawn in, if you see that the bulk of the scary monsters have spawned on your west side, for instance, you may want to run off to the east side to not be hit by them. You can also use sightlines to move monsters in who you can't reach. Here are a couple ways you can safe spot the meleeers. Both the south side of the pillar and the west side of the pillar, the meleeer will not path around, but the east and north side he will. You can also block him with the pillar like so, using that slide down method I mentioned earlier. This works on all monsters, and so long as you keep their corner there, you can return to that spot and resume the safe spot again. Also, make sure that when you kill a blob against a pillar, you do so like this. It will always spawn in this configuration, which leaves the ranger blocking the meleeer and the mage off to the side. It makes the whole pile barrageable. You can also reach stray nibblers from this tile here without popping out into danger. Also, I don't really hear many guides about the Inferno mentioning this, but send ice barrages out. Immobilizing and standing underneath a monster at times can sincerely help your board state so much. Take care of the threat or even frozen enemy, and then you have one less thing to worry about for 15 seconds. Now let's handle the stacks. The two scary instances of pillar stacks are Blob plus Major Ranger, or Major and Ranger. I'm going to show you two varying intensity solves. Let's start with the Major Ranger. We're going to pray against the thing in the back and also attack the thing in the back. We'll need to do this from the middle of the pillar. As we go to attack, watch the monster in the back begin its attack, at which point you'll switch to the front monster, and after the front one animates, swap back. Keep this cycle up until they die. You can also swap to attacking the front one if you want that one to die first for some reason. You can also step out praying against the back thing, and as it animates, swap your prayer to the front monster and then run back to the safety of the pillar. This is good for people who might be worried about messing up. You are in a huge amount of range tank though, so if you just want to pray mage and kill the ranger, that's also more than possible. For the Blob plus Major Ranger, it's very similar, however the attack times are different. If you'd like to stay out and flick, attack the back thing, and then we're going to pay attention for the 1 attack and then 2 attack pattern. Watch what I mean with the ranger. We'll pray range and then swap to mage for the ranger's first hit. Then we'll have 2 attacks from the ranger before the next time we have to pray mage against the blob. Then back to 1 and so on. If that worries you, simply come out praying against either the mage or ranger and then run back in praying the opposite. Or again, stand there simply just praying mage. Now that's that for the strategies. People will warn you about waves with double blobs in them typically, namely 56 and 63. So let's take my random spawns that I had on this run and see how I handled them in the past. I stand on our ideal starting tile to hit the nibblers. They were all spread out, which sucked, but whatever. Let's run to our standard tile that we use to corner trap stuff. I see we're only really dealing with the ranger, so I pray range and start killing him. I'm being mindful of the blob off to the side that's working his way down. I throw pray mage on just while the blob is alive and run behind the pillar to pull him in a little bit more, then start working on the ranger again. Once the ranger is dead, I swap my focus to the blob and just keep praying mage. When he dies, I go to barrage the little minions with a blood barrage and then finish them off. Then I run to this tile here from before, where we can attack the nibblers and kill the remainder. I throw my shadow and mage gear on and start killing the major because we want to kill him first so he doesn't respawn things. I'm fine with using my mage stuff here because he only uses mage. I notice that there's 1 nibbler left, so I like to use a big eldritch prayer opportunity and go spec him for a free 20 prayer points. I finish off the major, head back to the blob and kill him like normal. Now let's see wave 63. Start on the same tile as always and cast a freeze at the nibblers, and move to the standard tile and start working on the major. I'm not too worried about the blob far away, but I am mindful of him. I was a little worried about my pillar HP, so I went and took care of the remaining nibblers and then got right back on the major. The meleeer coming down kind of scares me, so I froze him and moved out of the way of his attack range and then kept hitting the major. The blob hits me twice here in a row and puts me to 30, and that's not great, so I eat up a little bit and then start working on the meleeer. Then he unfreezes and that terrifies me more, so I eat a little bit more and finish him off. Then I notice that the blob is too far away for me to hit, so I pop to the other side to bring him in, and then I start to hit him, and then I'm ready for my blood barrage to make back most of what I lost. Finish that blob off and then start blood barraging the remaining monsters until I get back to 99, and that will finish the wave. Now that's not too bad, right? I'm sure if you're not super comfortable with the Inferno, that might have been a lot of information, but the more you're here, the more these situations will feel commonplace. Now you've made it to the end. If you want some Jad practice in this same gearing, try Ket Rex challenges just south of the Moral Wreck Bank. It allows you to do up to 2 Jads at once to practice. You can use your better mage gear here and shadow if you've got it and start chipping them down. Once the healers spawn, tag each one with your Iac and pull them all close to you. Then when you're ready, wait for him to attack, run through the center of him and through the other side. Line them up with Jad's southwest tile in blood barrage and heal back to full. Then finish him off. Triple Jads is much of the same, though they spawn less healers. Try to have your eyes on whichever one next is attacking and go from that. Also, please don't rush. If you need to wait until all 3 Jads attack with Mage in a row just to get back in your rhythm, then take that time. Pick the Jads off one by one and repeat the run through and heal from before. This is now a good time to hit log out to pause before Zuck and get your bearings. Now we're here and on Zuck. To prepare, I'd encourage you to try the Inferno simulator, which I've left a link to in the description, and practice this as much as you feel comfortable. I've left my tiles in the description for everything, but especially for Zuck. If you brought a shadow, put your best mage gear on now and that shadow and prepare. If you brought your crystal and F-bow, now's the time to whip that out. I'd also recommend using the site infernotimer.com to keep a live track of how your wave is going. I'll give you a rundown of the fight right now. You're going to spawn in the middle of Zuck. A cutscene will play. Feel free to use this as an opportunity to right-click him and wait for the cutscene to end, and then hit him immediately. Then the shield will either go randomly left or right. Zuck will not start attacking you until the shield has fully made it to one side. Using the yellow tiles here, stand on them and use them as a guide to where to move next. Never attack from the pink tiles between them, however, or you'll get dragged and whew, that's a way to go. Once Zuck has shot the shield, move on to the next yellow tile. When the shield returns to the direction that it started, you will get your first Major and Ranger set. Chuck your tank gear on just like you did in the waves and hit the one that you're closest to right away, and pray against whatever it was. Hopefully they die quickly, but keep moving with the shield, and when the Major is involved, simply keep Pray Mage on. We're more focused on killing the Ranger. Walk with the shield and kill the Ranger ASAP and then get right back on Zuck. We want to force him to below 600 HP, at which point the timer for another set will pause. Once this happens, finish off the remaining Major, then get back on Zuck and brew up if you were low. Once Zuck is below 480 HP, he will spawn one Jad right in the center. I'd advise you turn your camera towards him and keep an eye on Zuck's projectiles as they hit the shield and move accordingly. When Jad is at half HP, you can send a barrage towards his healers to tag them all and then continue to damage Jad. Finish up Jad, then get right back on Zuck. The next HP you're looking for is 240 HP, at which point he will spawn 4 healers which you want to tag immediately. At the same time, your previous yellow tiles will no longer be guaranteed safety anymore, and you will need to stay with the shield at all times. Ideally, you'd like to hit Zuck below 240 at the same time that the shield is about to make its way to the other side of the stage, so that you can hit them all along the way. Put Redemption on and knock them out as fast as you're able and eat up. Don't really be below 20 HP. After they're dead, keep staying with the shield and hitting Zuck. If your run is going longer, keep an eye on your timer to see if you'll be getting another set of Major and Rangers. If you are, handle them the same way that you did before, but keep the Major alive while you finish Zuck. Once Zuck hits 0 HP, you've done it. Congratulations. Please let me know in-game or in the comments if you do. I would love to hear it. A like, comment, and sub help a lot, and I'll see you next time. Bye!